on, my friends. I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table. This is Gray and White Mama, who is going to be this way for probably a minute or two or a little longer because she wants a lot of attention and she won't take no for an answer. Will you, Mama? Right? You all know the story of her. Sure, you haven't. I've told it many, many, many times. When she came to us in the middle of winter, her mouth was half frozen over. She's got missing teeth on one side, and well, she's been in the house a couple of years now. Yeah, a couple of the other cats really do not like her. We have never understood why, because she does not go out of her way to cause anybody any grief. She does real well in here by herself. Uh, the downside is she's like me. She doesn't get enough attention during the day. And so when she gets the chance, she gets a chance. So recently got myself an updated version of my glasses, and unfortunately I can't see. I can't see the damn screen because it's designed for more for focused on the reading part up front. Right. Anyhow, the it's been well, a pretty eventful month, I think, so far. My TRL, the intro we did just posted on the TRO Project Zukop did very well. It had over 200 views in less than 10 hours, and I rarely get videos that get that kind of mileage right out the gate. If I could figure out what I was doing or didn't do, it has to be the project that's really popular because like I said, I can't tell you what I did or didn't do to make that particular thing any better or more exciting than any of the other crappy videos I've made over the years. Acknowledge that. We are hovering right at 1,100 subscribers, which is still phenomenal compared to what it was a few years ago. We keep bouncing up and down between that one. It's the last month is slow. We only had about 9 new subscribers in the past month, which is much slower than usual according to the analytics doohickey. The Yes, it's kind of interesting because I made a comment to Mark Calhoun, who is a major supporter of this channel, and Mark, I'm forever utterly grateful because I would not be able to do a tenth of the crap I've been able to do for BattleTech if it wasn't for your assistance and your associates' assistance over the last year and a half, and including this computer that I'm horribly, horribly terrible at operating. I am not an Apple computer person at all. I just am not an Apple computer person at all. Uh, I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie. It's been a real lulu, and I'm frustrated many times over because, and you've heard me cry about it. I got a whole nother video already done from last weekend for a rant for October, which I'll probably post later this week. I also have one on that I did out on the field the other day. That's on the little data pad thing. I got to get it transferred over to the laptop out there so I can get it in the queue. A lot of those videos tend to just be me frustrated about something terrible. In the case of fan projects, I don't know that you can ever be in this hobby, seriously in this hobby for any length of time and not run across a fan project someplace. Most fan projects tend to be what they play at the home, and we don't ever see them published and printed. I have a video of one I did myself called Two Dwarves and a Wagon. It's basically a very, two-player. I had 2 players at the time. One was really keen on playing dwarves, and I thought, well, what's a good theme? And I said, all right, here, you guys are starting out. You're two dwarves and you're teamsters. You're being hired to run this route, all these outposts for the main dwarven citadel, and of course, part of the fun is that we had an NPC rival team that would frustrate them and interfere on occasion. And then, of course, recurring themes. That's something I like about most settings is that if you in this way, it's a circuit. So these fellows would go around these 5 or so outposts and drop supplies off and occasionally move things like mail and priority stuff between them and or back to the main citadel. And in the process, they had, they were able to travel a fairly well maintained dwarven road, but it was through some pretty hairy locations, and they had issues with weather and issues with the local wildlife and issues with very pesky bogle. And sometimes it's been my experience when it comes to games in general that a lot of and I'm going to use the term monsters loosely because there's a lot more going on than just the traditional monster. But if you look at a lot of the entries in the monsters manuals of any game system, any creature system, now, this applies to BattleTech too. It's just that in BattleTech, most critters are not common found on all planets. You're going to find cockroaches and rats on every planet that humanity's gone to, but you're not likely to find elephants on just about every planet, let alone the native, animals that grow up on all these mirrored planets. But there is some common factors. So in the case of like a Dungeons and Dragons in a kind of fantasy settings where you can utilize a lot of these monsters, these encounter counter fuel is that they're really not suited for the random encounter or for most environments. For example, the bogle, if you're not familiar with it, is this actually based on I believe on a British mythological creature or something. Okay. And anyhow, they're real troublemakers, and in a way, they have a lot in common with ravens or crows because they want to steal shiny stuff, and they go out of their way to do this. And they can turn invisible. I think they're very stealthy. They're very weak though. They're very weak as an opponent. If you actually physically get into a combat with them, they're likely to lose pretty fast. They got to use every trick in their arsenal to get away from you because generally that's not how they're geared. But we don't use those very well in random encounters. And a handful of times I've seen player or GMs use them. They use them poorly, in my opinion. Now they weren't meant for that. It's just like certain things. And if we look at BattleTech, there's certain elements that do not do well with against other elements. So the idea that you're going to have suddenly have a bunch of clan heavy mechs just show up out of nowhere, being run by a bunch of 2-bit whatevers, is you better have some good explanation of how that happened because the very few pirates are good enough to or steal or acquire clan hardware and keep it, in my opinion, right? So it's kind of one of those things where we look at it. It's like maps and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of options and availability to them. The uses are quite wide, but there's also a lot of things that people go, well, why do I want to bother with? It's just things that we don't need to worry about. Or the more progressive you get in your hobby, the more comfortable you are with your system. And I want to talk about that for a minute. There's a fellow that whose video channel I've been following pretty closely the past 6 months. I've posted links to him before, and his real he's trying to find games to entertain his children, including his younger autistic son, and yet himself is new to the hobby. But he keeps going out. It's like every few weeks or every month, suddenly he's coming up with yet another system. Well, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this with this system. I want to run the system, and which is great, which is fine. I have absolutely no issue with it. I'm obviously the last person to talk about somebody having too many systems. I mean, you've just look at my channel. There's over almost 1,100 damn videos here, and most of it's highlighting crap I have on my bookshelf, stuff I own, or stuff that people like Mark has been extremely generous in helping me obtain that I could not otherwise get. And financially speaking, I have to measure everything I buy really judiciously because, as somebody recently pointed out, the new force manuals that are coming out look shiny and new and fancy, but in reality, they're full of problems and mistakes and other issues, and I'm looking forward to reviewing it, reading it, and taking a look at it myself and seeing where if I see what he did. And my point then I quote, I says, "What do you think? You think that Catalyst is really dropped the ball on their quality control when it comes to editorial services? Something's not right. I mean, I expect stuff in a custom, in a fan-made product to be a little off or a little dodgy or not maybe a little less than professional looking. I mean, you can't say that with that Project Zerkoff and a couple of these others I've highlighted on these channels. Those people went out of their way. And it turns out that all the artwork that's in Project Zerkoff are actually by Matt Plog, who's a well-known BattleTech artist. And I can only guess how many hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not 1,000 plus, that the fan creators of Project Zukov shelled out of their own pocket to get top-notch artwork from this fellow. As I was talking to Mark briefly in some comments on that particular entry, my mother was an artist her entire life, and my wife has been a fairly competent artist the past 25 years, and both have done commissioned works for money and sold their products. The problem, though, is you as an artist traditionally you rarely get compensated for the amount of effort and time you actually put into something unless you're really good at just multi cranking stuff out. And said, you're right, mama. Oh, we're gonna play now. Oh, you want to play? Huh? You want to play? Ooh, she wants to play. She don't usually do this. She didn't used to do this. You couldn't get anywhere near her belly, this sort of stuff here, and she get all ouchy and stuff, but she knows she's happy and she's fat. She likes being in here by herself most of the time. She, with no inclination, wanting to go out. You leave that door open, she won't go out there. She's hoping the others won't come in here and bother her. So it's just kind of a thing, right? So, artist-wise, my wife can spend 50 hours 25, 50 hours working on an art project. And that's not an exaggeration when you look at the amount of, because she does etched mirrors. I don't have any currently sitting handy. The whole pile over here in the closet. I'm not getting it. She'd be in here in a heartbeat and kick my butt. Anyway, so we buy used mirrors at garage sales and things like that that are slightly damaged, or anything we can get under $10. And then she'll find a scene, something she wants to paint and or to etch, and then she'll put contact paper on the mirror, and then she will draw on whatever it is she's going to etch, and then go back with an X-Acto knife and carefully carve out the pieces that she actually wants the etching cream to etch. And then, of course, you etch it, and then you take all of the cream off of, or off the tape off of it, and then you go back and retake or paint the areas that you didn't uh, want to uh, etch, which is the etching creates the shapes and the forms and the boundaries, and then the color fills in the blanks. And then, of course, you let it dry, and then there's several stages of there's stuff you spray on it to help keep it from falling apart and wearing off easier and or worse and running, because some of the paints and stuff are not oil based. Would you figure on average 20 to 50 hours easily for a mirror about yay big? And my mother used to do portraits. Matter of fact, I don't know if it's still there or not, but there once upon a time was a portrait of one of the governors of Iowa that my mother painted, and it was sitting up in the governor's office or annex or whatever. And this was from Governor Ray from way back in the day. And I don't know what she got paid for the commission, or if it was a work of love or something like that, because a lot of artists do that. There's some really good artists out there who don't get paid very well at all. So when you see artists that show up in fan-based projects and they're doing really good stuff, you really kind of want to call that out. You want to pull that out. So it came to my, Mark told me that Matt Plug is a very well-known artist within the BattleTech, and see, I don't relate to things like that because it's not my gig. I get it, but I don't. I mean, I get it, but it's not. I'm not all excited and worked up over it. I just appreciate good art when I see it, and I appreciate art, good or bad, if it's useful. Right? I'm not exactly keen on just art for the sake of art. Sometimes, though, you have to have filler. Now, that's part of what the fluff and the buff for any good product is this artwork, and so it has its important roles. And if you find somebody who's doing really good work and are not known at all, you really want to draw attention to other people who might want to be able tap them or employ them in some way. I have my current project. I would dearly love to be able to afford an artist to do artwork for my would-be game. The downside is that the sheer amount of artwork would be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I can't. I, I just it isn't happening. I don't have those kind of resources. So I've been very fortunate. I got a fella who's really not doing well health wise. He's really struggling. I don't know all the details, and I respect his privacy not to ask him. If he wanted me to know, he would say. But he's been doing AI generated stuff for me for my book or my game, and uh, once again, it's real challenge. It's a real pain in the butt to find time to do stuff and then find time to be motivated to do stuff. I'm 59 years old and I'm struggling just to get the bills paid, and 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 I get little things just eat at my brain. Uh, I got a note sitting on my computer at the office last night when I got back from driving to yet another town way outside of the city to do a job, and I go and I drop the paperwork off and I'm making sure there's no rags that need to be cleaned and laundry stuff like that. But before I go home, and there's this little post-it note that says one of our customers, the Perkins, are not paying. That's all it says. Well, why are they not paying? I mean, I did them yesterday morning at like 20 after 6. It was like 6 a.m. or going on 6:30 a.m. when I got there and I got the job and nobody said nothing. I got it done. Nobody complained. Nobody cried to me while I was there. And they didn't have any customers. They were dead as a doorknob. And yet here we have a note. And now here it is the next day, and it's still mucking with me. It's still messing with my head because did I screw up something? Did I piss them off somehow? What's the issue now? Now, this is one of those places that have a bad habit not liking to pay their bills in the first place. They struggle. It's a privately owned out. It's a franchise that has issues. I'm not going to name where it is, but it's just one of those things. So that sort of crap messes with my head, and it will mess with my head probably till Tuesday, because she's not likely the boss wife, the boss lady's not likely to come in the office tomorrow or Monday. Now my wife's going to go. We're going to take my wife up there so she can clean, and I'm going to do some other odds and ends in the morning up there at the office. But the boss lady's likely not be. I won't see her till probably Tuesday. Monday is originally I had another job out of town, but we can't get a hold. I can't get a hold of them, and it's too far to me just go. And I've only done it once before, so I'm not going to go there and just assume anything. No way to, if they're not there and I made that trip for nothing, then I have to justify it, and I'm not going to do it. So I got one cruddy little job first thing Monday morning, and then I'm going to find some things to do. I have another job later in the week. I can move to Monday and do it and free up Thursday morning for office stuff. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do. It's just those little things that kind of mess with your brain. Right. So I keep poking away at right now. I'm in the process of reworking the negotiations chapter and how you negotiate, interrogate, and investigate in the game. And I've already done one of those. And part of the community thing, I posted some ideas, and people are like, "Well, I don't make," you know, they want to make rhyme to reason. One of the things that I don't think a lot of people understand when it comes to creating games, game building process itself is not as clear cut and as easy as sometimes it will seem like. And a lot of people will crank out stuff that they think is great. Turns out it's full of problems. And professional outfits do this too. This is what's kind of disturbing or shameful in a way. And I know, and I want once again, I already pointed out Catalyst. That's from what I'm being told. The new force manuals are a mess. Not that they're bad, not that they're not useful. It's just that they're full of errors and issues and other problems. And my thought was, why? Why? Catalyst has professional editors and professional people whose job is to check all this stuff. Now, meanwhile, the creators that created it, are they in a hurry? Are they indifferent to the project? Do they lose their for some people this is still it's just a job. I mean, for most of us who we would think that is the most beautiful career you could ever have is working for one of these game companies, and yet It's still a job. It's still a corporation you're dealing with. You love what you do is an awesome thing. And that's rare in this world. It's so rare for people to find things they love to do and look forward to it every day. But you still have to remember that they're working in a corporate environment and all that that entails. All you have to do is listen to all the BS coming out of the Hasbro Wizards of the Coast scenario situations these days to understand just how big of an ugly mess it can turn into, and it has, and it is for WotC. I hear that their newest version of D&D's player handbook sales is abysmal. Even they're shocked by just how bad the sales are. Well, all you have to, if you're familiar with what's going on WotC, it's not hard to understand why. The other downside to that, which killed me, is that WotC let go last year, right before the holidays, which is always very Scrooge-ish to do. Well, God, if you're going to do that, let them go after the freaking holidays is over with. Let them deal with it in the new year, or let them go months in advance so they got a chance to get get back on their life back in order, because you just threw it, the corporation just threw it into the dumpster. So in this case, they let go over 1,000. I think it was 1,100 employees. And where do you think most of them went? They went to find jobs somewhere else. And I can't help but wonder, how many of them will resurface in a bunch of these smaller outfits as and improve their product lines. I'm just, the possibility. It's just, buggers the brain. Isn't that right, Mama? Mama, she's just not settling down yet. She's so happy to have somebody in here to pay attention to her. Yes, you are. Yes, you're just showing everybody off, right? You were so pudgy. You've got really pudgy this summer. And since we put you in here, you've really put you on some weight. She's not stressed in here either. She was very stressed out in the living room because she never knew when somebody was going to come at her, and she was always trying to hide somewhere. And we had to make sure she was someplace secure in her mind at nighttime because, like I said, Sissy and Missy were being mean to them. So, and now I got something. Once again, I did not ask me for this stupid thing to do, and now it's trying to do something I don't want it to do, and it's interfering. Yeah, see, and I can't stop it. That's the problem. Stop. Stop. You're gonna mess with my damn video, ain't you? Stop it. God. I hate this shit. I hate it with a effing passion. This is why I don't have discourse. This is why I don't have discourse. I'm just saying, I don't have discourse because of this kind of stuff. Discourse will just turn itself on and take over my computer. And I could be in the middle of doing something like right now, and that damn automatic PC scan thing came on. I didn't ever tell it to do it, never asked for it, never signed up for it. It just immediately starts kicking on. And I don't know what it is. I don't know who supports it. And I don't know it's legit. I don't want it running on my damn system, period. And then when and then it does it while I'm doing something like this, it's just 10 times more frustrating. It really is. It's just a pain in the ass because I've had stuff like that happen where I'm 3/4 of the way through a video and then it ruins the video because it's interfered with everything. And I can't see what I'm doing. It superimposes itself, and I can't make it stop. I just shut everything off because I won't let it run. I don't give a damn what it is. I'm not having it. I will pull the plug and yank the battery before I will let it run because I do not know what it is. Don't trust them. There's so much crap out there today. You can't trust nothing. It's just hard to trust anything today, in part because of the BS of people out there constantly spewing nonstop freaking lies. You don't want to get me off on a tangent on that because, I got to the point I got so mad. I have a second channel, but I got so mad. I just can't come up with any kind of decent material for that channel right now. I really can't because I just get so upset by the way things are right now in America. It's shameful. It's obscene. And the worst part about it is the very people that are causing the problem pretending like they ain't the problem. Like the rest of us are lunatics. You know, I saw the riots outside of our Capitol on television firsthand. Now, perhaps I wasn't in the crowd outside the building, but I saw it with my own eyes, heard with my own ears. Don't you dare come back to me and say things like that wasn't what it was. Don't you dare. I don't give a damn who you are. Don't you dare. That's not how that works. Yeah, I ain't buying it. Ain't pulling into it either. Anyway, like I said. So I think that if we see more fan products, it'd be great. I think there's probably a lot more out there that just don't get shared. I mean, in order for me to share mine, I could take my two dwarfs in a wagon and tidy it all up and put it out there as actually a module or a game supplement or something like that. But like everything else, the hard drive I had a lot of this stuff stored on is gone a long time ago. And the storage, the disks that I was storing things on, yeah, we were storing things on floppy disks back then. Well, these were CDs, burnable CDs or whatever, DVD things or whatever the hell they were. And it was before the thumb drive became a thing, right? Now thumb drives are everything until the next medium of storage comes along that everybody is all keen on. So those disks, one of them got corrupted. The other two disappeared. So if it wasn't for the physical item, this is one of those things like, why do you have to, why would you want physical stuff? This is why, F nut. This is why. This is why I won't I won't go into Wizards of the Coast's latest endeavor for Dungeons and Dragons. They've more or less closed the door for me for that franchise. I cannot justify ever having a digital online membership to something where I'm buying digital material that I physically do not have. If I do not have a physical book on my shelf, then I don't want to own that thing. Because if all my stuff that I spend my money on, my hard-earned precious money on, is stored on some corporate computer somewhere where it's at their whim, they can just decide, oh, well, everything that predates this date is no longer valid. We just delete it all. You just stole my money. Oh, that's no, you stole my money. You stole the product that I purchased from you by doing that. And if I can't transfer that to my own site, I don't want it at all. And then it's just a greed factor. I get it that their corporation, Hasbro, needs to make profits. They want to make profits. And I've long believed that Dungeons and Dragons could be a really good video game too. And they've been proven right. There have been many, many video games based on that franchise. But I think it's a mistake to take something that was been from the very bottom, it's literally the foundation stones of most of this hobby. You can argue it all you want, you can disprove it all the best you want, but the truth is still a fact. You can try to disprove it the best you want. Yeah, there's a couple other older systems that predate Dungeons and Dragons, barely, barely. Most of them came out after D&D. It was from D&D that we see everything we have today in the role-playing game in market. Everything we have today came from that's the bottom of the deep well that we all tap on a daily basis, at least on a monthly basis for some, right? So that I'm just saying, it's just I'll never do it. I can never justify it in my brain, and I'm not going to try. Right? It's just not going to happen. Are you going to let me do some stuff? Yeah, I'm kind of hoping she wear out. She go over there and lay down. It's like, because I got some other stuff, but I'm going to need to do the down view part. It's kind of hard for her and me to be in the same spot, right? It is what it is. So anyhow, I think I've run this off for a little bit longer than I planned on. I'm not even sure what to call this session, other than it's something. And we'll just wrap this up at the moment. It looks like it's going on a half hour. Like I said, I almost got to get my other glasses because I can read further away better than this one. Yeah, 28 minutes or so. Okay, doke. We will do this and do something else. Okay.